Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, bringing you another event guide. This time we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Akihabara Explosion Event in FGO NA. And just like with all my event guides, this is going to be an in-depth look at the event, covering everything from the new servants to the best strategies. So to help you guys out, I've included timestamps in the description down below, so you can jump ahead to whichever part of this video you need the most. And this event is going to be open to all players who have beaten Fuyuki, so even new players can participate. With all of that said, if you're excited to see what this event has to offer, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so you can catch all my videos as they go up and you can help out the channel. Now without further ado, let's take a look at that brand new servant. And yes, we will be getting a brand new servant with this event, the 5-star Berserker Galatea. She has a max attack of 11,414 and a max HP of 14,040. She also has a single target Arts Noble Phantasm. And unlike most Berserkers, Galatea is extremely tanky and packs exceptional utility, which makes her a great choice for tough content like challenge quests. If you're curious in rolling for Galatea or want to know more, I do have a full servant spotlight for her linked in the description down below, which you can go check out. I go into much more detail about her skills and the best ways of using her in that video. But Galatea isn't the only servant on rate up for this event. We also have rate ups for both Nero Bride and Osakabe Hime. Both Bride and Osakabe Hime are strong supports, and I have full servant spotlights for them as well, also linked in the description, so check those out. But that covers the servants on rate up, so now let's talk about the craft essences on rate up. Just like with most events, we're going to be getting 3 new CEs from the gacha and 1 CE that's going to be a part of the event story. Starting off with the gacha CEs first, we have the 3-star Yummy. This craft essence increases Buster Card effectiveness by 3% and grants 10% starting NP charge. And for the duration of the event, it'll increase the damage of 1 to 3-star servants by 30% or 60% if you max limit break it. And outside of the event, this can still be a decent budget CE option for any kind of Buster servant that depends on NPs for DPS, like Arash, Bedivere, or Lu Bu. Next up, we have the 4-star Junk Shop. This craft essence increases NP charge per turn by 3%, Buster Card effectiveness by 3%, and NP damage by 10%. It also increases the damage of 1 to 4-star servants by 40% during the event, or 80% if you max limit break it, and this can also be a useful craft essence for any Buster servant who can spam their Noble Phantasm, like Gil, Rama, or Consort U. And finally, the last gacha CE is the 5-star City Where Dreams Are Born. This craft essence ignores defense and increases Arts and Buster Card effectiveness by 8%. It'll also increase the damage of any servant it's equipped on by 50% for the duration of the event, or 100% if you max limit break it. Outside of the event, it can be a useful CE for any servant who has a mixed Arts Buster deck like Galatea, or on basically any Saber servant like Artoria and Suzuka. And the free CE that we're going to be getting from this event is the 5-star, the Unmanipulatable Ones. This craft essence increases Buster Card effectiveness and crit damage by 10%, and it grants 15 crit stars at the start of the battle. In addition, for the duration of the event, it will increase bond points gained by 100% or 200% if max limit broken, and if you equip it on Mosh, it'll increase the party's bond point gain by 20% or 40% if max limit broken. Outside of the event, it can still be a useful CE for any kind of Buster crit servant like Gil, Emiya, or Suna. Now I should mention that there is no item shop in this event, so all 5 copies of this event CE can actually be won from the event itself as quest rewards, so no need to farm for it. And speaking about event quests, let's talk about how the mechanics of this event actually work. This is going to be a battle tower event, very similar to the previous Amazonas CEO and Setsuban events. So if you were around for either of those events, you know exactly what to expect. However, if this is your first battle tower style event, here's how it works. Instead of farming free quests for currency or points like we do in most events, this event will be a series of 200 stages. Each time that you beat one stage, you'll advance to a slightly more difficult stage all the way up until stage 200, hence the name Battle Tower. But the catch is that you won't be able to use the same servants multiple times in a row, and you can't use any friend supports, because once you beat one stage, or shopping quest as they're called for this event, the servants that you use to complete that stage will all be placed on a 6-hour long cooldown, so you won't be able to use them again for any more stages until that cooldown is up. So if you've been relying on OP supports like Castoria, or servants like Arjuna Ultra to carry you, then you won't be able to do that for this event. However, there will be a resting area on the event page where you'll be able to place any servants who are on cooldown. Servants put into a resting area will have their cooldown time reduced from 6 6 hours to 3 hours. In addition, there will also be multiple different resting areas covering a variety of themes. And if you place a servant into an area that they're compatible with, then their cooldown will be reduced to 2 hours. For example, if you put Osakabe Hime in the Dojin shop or Tomoe in the arcade, then they're going to receive that extra cooldown bonus. So really make sure that you place your servants in their favorite resting areas in order to maximize that bonus. Now, despite the very unique event format, there is still going to be a main story for the event. To progress through the main story, you're going to need to beat the shopping quest stages, aka climb the tower. A new story quest is going to open for every 10 floors that you clear up until floor 100. So as you complete shopping quests, you'll continuously unlock new main story quests as well. It's important to note that the story ends once you reach floor 100. So if your only goal for this event is to reach the end and get the Grail, you don't need to complete all 200 stages. The last 100 floors are more so for challenging yourself and getting some extra rewards like rare ascension mats. But in addition to unlocking story quests, completing shopping quests will also regularly unlock secret Akiba quests. These are optional quests that are even more difficult than normal stages, but give even better rewards. These secret Akiba quests also have a special requirement for entering. For example, some of them only allow you to use male servants, or some restrict you to only Japanese servants, or only chaotic servants, etc. So it's best to think about these as optional mini challenge quests. Now I should mention that even though this event is technically open to all players, it really isn't an easy event for newer players to the game. The stages themselves are not difficult, at least not the first 100 floors, but because of how the mechanics of the event work, with servants going on cooldown, you will need a lot of fully leveled servants to make it through the floors at a reasonable pace. Something that not a lot of new players are going to have. So if you are a newer player or just someone who doesn't have a lot of time or servants to spare, here are some tips that you can use to maximize your tower climbing efficiency and reach the end quickly. Tip number 1, take advantage of the bonus CEs for damage and bond. All of the gacha CEs are going to give a considerable damage bonus to your servants for this event, and you should be totally utilizing that to make your weakest servants even stronger. And this is going to be a great event for grinding bond points as well, so if there's a particular servant that you really want to get to bond 10, make sure you slap that event CE on them too. You can even roll the 3-star event CE from the friend point gacha, which is a godsend, because it's going to allow your 1 to 3-star servants to hit as hard as a 5-star and make completing many of the floors much easier even with your weakest servants. Beyond that, make sure you bring 3 servants to each stage. That is the minimum required. Never bring more than 3. And in reality, you only need 1 good servant to beat any of the stages. So bring 1 of your better servants and then bring 2 fodder or low-leveled servants for the other 2 slots. This way you can ensure that you aren't wasting your better servants by over-preparing for a stage. For example, instead of bringing Artoria, Mordred, and Saber Alter to one stage, just bring Artoria and then bring 2 other weak servants. There's also going to be a boss floor every 10 stages, so make sure that you save all of your strongest servants for every 10th floor. And you should always have your best servants in the resting areas and try to match them to the specific area that reduces their cooldown. I would also suggest only putting DPS characters in resting areas because supports are not as necessary outside of the really late floors. You mostly want your DPS servants, especially AoE DPS servants, to cleave through the stage really quickly and easily, so don't waste a resting area spot by giving it to a servant that you're only going to use once or twice on floor 100. And finally, it's important to keep in mind, especially for newer players, that servants are still usable outside of the event even when they're on cooldown. So once you're done completing as many floors as you can and all your servants are on cooldown, don't just leave the game, go farm outside of the event or do some story and focus on getting your other servants stronger. That way you can use them later on in the event. For example, while my servants are on cooldown in the event, I'm gonna go farm QP to level up some of the skills of my more rarely used servants so that they can fare a little bit better in the later stages of the tower. And finally, let's talk about the challenge quest. Now this challenge quest is only going to be available if you've beaten Solomon, so it's not going to be available for all players. However, if you have beaten Solomon, then for this challenge quest, you're going to be facing off against a bunch of weebs. And it's going to be split into 3 distinct waves. In wave 1, you're going to be up against Blackbeard and a doll. Blackbeard is going to cast Guts 11 times on himself, reviving himself with 20,000 HP, while the doll doll is going to buff him with attack up every turn. However, once she buffs him, she removes 1 instance of guts. For the second wave, you're going to be up against Jinako and a bunch of other enemies. At the start of the battle, Jinako is going to give herself invincibility times 10, and she's going to give ignore invincibility and sure hit to all of her allies. And once you break her break bar, she's going to summon an even stronger enemy. And finally, for wave 3, you're going to face off against Osakabe Hime and a spellbook. As soon as you enter this wave, Osakabe Hime is actually going to restore all of your HP, but then she's going to buff herself with attack up and ignore invincibility so long as the book is on the field. If you ever try to kill the book, she'll just summon another one, and the book also has a passive chance to inflict charm on you if it hits you. Once you break Osakabe Hime's break bar, she's going to gain a new passive that gives all enemies 1 tick of NP charge and 5000 HP recovery every turn. The challenge quest itself isn't very difficult, and keep in mind that you can use those bonus damage CEs for it as well, so let's tackle this phase by phase. Starting off with wave 1, the key to beating this is to just focus on Blackbeard. Between the doll removing his guts every turn and you continuously attacking him, you'll be able to melt through all of his extra lives pretty quickly. He doesn't revive with much HP either, so you can usually take off 2 to 3 guts per turn. For the second wave, having an AoE servant that can wipe out all the enemies is very helpful. Otherwise, just focus on Jinako and try to prevent her from getting off an NP. And you can also use an ignore invincibility CE for this fight as well. The final wave is the trickiest, but thankfully you do get a full heal once you enter it. Your goal here is to just rush down Osakabe Hime, don't even worry about the book. If the book is getting close to NP, then you can kill it off before it does, but it isn't a priority. Alter Egos are your best friend for this challenge quest since nearly every enemy is a cavalry class servant. So Meld, King Protea, Shitonai, and Kiara are all capable of easily beating this. For supports, NP batteries like Waver, Castoria, Scotty, and Rhaenys are all very strong since you're going to be using your Noble Phantasm a lot. There's also a lot of ignore invincibility on the enemy side, so for defensive supports, you're better off with servants who can buff defense or heal like Mosh and Tamamo, or servants that can grant guts like Asclepius, Irie, and Santa Nightingale. And that's all I have to say about the Akihabara Explosion event. In my opinion, this is one of the more fun events, and it gives you a chance to try out a variety of different team comps, so just have fun with it. Don't forget to utilize that event CE for additional bond points though, and make sure you max limit break it as soon as you can, and if you're rolling for any of the raid up servants, then I wish you the best of luck. Remember, I do have videos on the raid up servants all linked in the description down below, so make sure you take a look at those if you want to know more about them. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. If this video helped you, make sure you give it a like and subscribe if it really helped you. If you haven't already, do join the party over on our Discord, follow us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter, all linked in the description down below. And until next time, this is Soberoni signing out. Later.